I'm Matthew Robinson, I'm 41 years old. I was born and brought up in Kettering in Northamptonshire, and on and off I've lived there or thereabouts for most of my life. I'm married to Caroline, who's a Coventry City supporter, and we have a daughter, Felicity, who I'm determined won't be a Coventry City supporter. We've just moved, as of September, to St Stephen's House in Oxford, where I'm training for the priesthood. Prior to that, I was a barrister, and Caroline was a solicitor, and we met in a crowded courtroom. We've been married now for 12 years, and we're enjoying life in Oxford, but it's very different to what went before. I first felt a call as late teen, really, and I was unable to shake off a sense that God had a purpose and intention for me, but I think I was unable to put real shape to that and slightly alarmed by it, really. So I went off to university with it in the back of my mind, unable to let go of it, but not really willing at that stage to let it develop into something of recognisable form. And I studied law, was called to the bar, practiced as a barrister, but really throughout that time it never left me. And as time moved on, it became a more insistent call, something that really couldn't be ignored or put to the back of my mind, and it started to take greater shape. And I got to the point really where I had a sense that what I was doing as a barrister, although it had real worth and it could be offered to God, was still not meeting this nagging sense of call that hadn't left me. And that's when I started to explore whether it might mean some other form of service for God. And from that, a sense of calling to the priesthood developed. I spoke to Caroline about the sense of call, and we prayed about it together, and she felt it too. And whilst we were mulling it over between ourselves, two people who were praying for us but didn't know what was on our minds, independently of each other, approached us and said they thought that I might have a calling to the priesthood. And that was really the poke in the back, the jab in the ribs that I needed to get me to talk to my parish priest. And from there, he nurtured that sense of calling. He introduced me to others, to Father Darren at the ACS, and in time to Bishop Norman, and really talking to them and continuing to pray with Caroline and with others, this shape of the sense of calling began to emerge. And after about 18 months in those sorts of informal discussions, I plucked up the courage to approach the DDO, and then really the process formally began. And that was 2 years of exploring with the DDO and still with Caroline and with our parish priest and with others who were praying for us at this time, now aware of where our thoughts were heading, of a sense really of waiting on God and learning some important lessons about letting go of what we might feel the plans for the future for us would be, and allowing God to be God and to lead us. And at the end of that 2-year process, I went to a Bishop's Advisory panel in Ely, and ultimately was selected, and that led to training at St Stephen's House. What struck me most arriving in Oxford was how this vocation was going to be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Living in community really brought home to me and Caroline that now this vocation was not like the work we'd known before, the 9 to 5. This was a way of life and not just a job. And arriving there brought that home very forcefully. I think where I am at the moment is recognising how good God has been to us, that the process of discernment and now training is one where His purposes are unfolded for you gradually, but with a sense of anticipation of what's to come. And so I'm left with a feeling really of wanting more, to develop more, the gifts that God has given us, the insights that we're getting through the training. We know there's more there, we want to follow Him, and it's that sense really at night, before your head touches the pillow that you're keen to wake up again in the morning and see where he's going to lead.